I like to know why in the world they want to be playing rugby. They want to be like a man? Do a woman want to be like a man?
Why is it like a man to play sport?
Why do a woman want to be like a man for?
A lot of people don't know rugby exists. Even more people don't know that women's rugby exists because they're like, rugby's what they play over there in England and Germany and all of that. And they're like, we have rugby, we have rugby here, let alone we let girls play it. What?
Right. No pads? What is this?
We're trying to further as a team and really show the university and show the community that it's a legitimate sport. Women's rugby is just as important as soccer.
Rugby is basically my entire life here outside of like my classes, just because it's my friend group, it's my sport, because I've always played sports and it's kind of like I needed to have a new one.
Well, I heard about rugby my sophomore year, and like, I don't know, it's just like, it's something different that not a lot of people do or know about, so that automatically like makes you want to know about it and want to try it.
We do a clinic, I'm going to say one of the first couple Saturdays of school to kind of teach new players that are interested the basics of passing and tackling and things like that.
Well, my roommate Malia, my freshman year, went to their practice and came back and was just like, Hannah, you're gonna love rugby. It's everything about it you will love.
Mossy, you and Hannah did an amazing job this week.
Jonathan kind of works with the forwards and Todd works with the backs, and then at the end of the practice we come together and mesh and share what we learned.
Now, Lindsay, who's been with me the whole time.
Todd is a very cool guy. He was originally just going to help us like one day a week, sometimes if we just needed help, but I guess he fell in love with us. I don't know, but he comes. We have that effect.
Jonathan is like the awkward older brother.
Just keep that in mind. Like,
I mean, he loves to win. Who doesn't love to win? But at the same time, when we improve on the field, even if we don't play our best game, but if we like come together as a team, like he expresses how proud he is of us.
I was injured for 6 months, and they basically told me that I'd probably not play ever again. So it's hard when you're like sitting on the sidelines and you see people playing and you see people hurt and you just like want to get in there and you like start crying. So like rugby is like my passion now.
It's a physical game, but if you do it right, it's not that bad. I mean, there's a safe way to tackle, and so when you fall, if you wrap, like you hold on to them as they go down, I mean, it's pretty safe.
I think that's one of the reasons why we have trouble like recruiting people, because they're like, tackling, like I don't want to do that, like I'm gonna get hurt. But truth of the matter is, you don't really usually get that hurt tackling, and the higher level of rugby you play, the more less injuries you see, because a lot of injuries come from poor form or not really knowing what you're doing.
Engage.
It really isn't just a game, because you can't, at no time can you take yourself out of it.
Well, you're out there and you're running for 80 minutes and you're hitting people. I mean, it's not just like a little like, oh, you give them a hug and they fall to the ground. It's you hit them with everything you've got.
You get tackled, you better get back up quick because the game's still going, so you need to get back in line.
A ruck is when a player gets tackled, they place the ball back, and players from both sides come together and try and contest the ball, push their own team over the ball.
A scrum is a way that the game is restarted, usually off of minor infractions. Forwards on each side bind together and sort of come into contact.
Your forwards are pretty much scrum positions, so you'll have 2 props, a hooker, 2 second rows, 2 flankers, and an 8-man.
The number 9 is the scrum half, who gets the ball out of the scrum. The one who feeds it to the fly half, who's like the quarterback on the field. 2 wingers, and a fullback.
Lineouts happen when the ball goes out of bounds, and it's basically another way for the 2 teams to fight and try to get the ball back.
I mean, we wear mouth guards, but we're not wearing shoulder pads. We don't got like the fancy leg pads that football players wear, and we're out there with our bodies. It can be scary. I mean, there can be times when you see a ball coming at you in the air and you're like, I'm gonna catch this ball and somebody is going to drill me.
I think the fact that the game is so dangerous can definitely lend some excitement to it.
Somebody asked me yesterday how different the rules for women's rugby are than men's, and they're not different at all. It's exactly the same game.
It's hard to be like a woman and say, you know, I'm a rugby player, and they're like, I'm either like afraid of you or there's something wrong with you for wanting to like go around and hit people for fun, because we're supposed to be girly and dresses and prissy. And
people tend to think like it's not right for a woman to at full speed tackle another woman and in a sport, because it's kind of ridiculous with no pads. And you don't really think about, like, I don't think about it that it's weird, but when I step back and I'm like, yeah, that's kind of insane.
There's obviously a huge stereotype that female athletes in general, and specifically rugby players, are gay. That's a stereotype that's definitely out there, and we deal with it. And
loads of times when it's come up that I play women's rugby, and people are just like, you play rugby?
like, I mean, I'll wear a dress when I want to wear a dress.
We have sorority girls on our team.
We do have sorority girls.
We do.
It's an excellent release for like stress. I mean, like, why? You know, women get stressed too. Like, women, you know, you don't have a lot of physical outlets either, you know, and men do. And so I think that that's something that's legitimate. It's good to sort of exercise and sort of like just, I don't know, get a release. It's not about like masculinity or femininity.
We have a couple of girls on our team that are basically like sweethearts, and it's like all smiles all the time, and as soon as we're in a game and they sick a tackle and we're just like, where did that come from? Because you are the nicest person I have ever met. And it's just like, you don't have to be a rough, tough tomboy to like play rugby. You can be the girliest girl on the face of the earth. It's just, it's fun.
I'm from out of state, so I don't have a lot of other people. I don't know anybody else here from my high school or anything like that. So the rugby team is my family.
Yeah, I would call us a family. I would do, speaking personally, I would do anything for anyone on the team. Hands down, no questions.
There are nights when we'll have practice and then we'll go over to one of our friends' apartments and they'll make us coffee and we'll sit up all night writing our papers.
We do everything together, from birthday parties to emergency room visits to friggin' study sessions, so we're pretty close.
We have a table in the pit that every day when you're done with classes or in between classes, everyone just goes and hangs out. So there's always someone sitting there, and so you're constantly just with rugby girls.
Or if you're skipping classes, but we don't condone that.
I don't know. Love what you're doing. Do what you love. Be with the people you want to be with, and forget the rest.
That's the lifestyle. I mean, in a way, though.
We want everybody to have a good experience in college with the team, and if something's not right, if we know that, you know, if someone's having a hard time or a hard day, there's always someone like concerned and involved, and I think we do a good job of building those relationships on the team.
We're a family, so if somebody has a problem with the sexual orientation of one of our players, that is something that we're not going to stand for, and we're going to stick up for our teammates.
Give it a try. Give it a try. You will never ever know until you try. As cliche as it sounds, like, that's pretty much what we all did.
That's my favorite quote. Michael Jordan said that, and like so did all these other athletes. But it's like, you'll miss 100% of the shots you don't take, and like that literally is my favorite quote. I wrote it like in my UNC application.
One of the scariest things about rugby is the physicality, like I was saying before. But when people come to practice and they see the kinds of people who are playing, they feel better about it. They'll see, you know, tiny little girls who are so friendly too. They introduce themselves and, you know, try and make it a good environment, and then see them tackle, and then it's sort of like, oh, well, it can't be that bad. And so that's sort of what I like encourage people to do. And And I wouldn't want anyone to play rugby who wasn't comfortable with it. So I would want people to come and see what they think and meet some of the players.
For me, it's definitely been the biggest thing in my life here, and it's been the best thing in my life here. I wasn't expecting that it would become such a big part of my life, and I just tried it, and you know, I fell in love and found the perfect spot for me to be in a perfect little family. And it's nothing you ever expect, but a lot of times it'll turn out better than what you're looking for.
The back of our shirts say Gari Corazon, which literally means talons and heart, which I think is what separates us from other teams. Like we don't have a lot of resources as a club, but we compete at the top because we have that sort of mentality and passion that we learned.
We have Holly right now, who's on the U20 national team, who is amazing. She's a winger, and she is so fast. Last year she was the second fastest Tar Heel. And then we have Kayla Renz, who can't play this year, but she's playing with the Sevens team.
And then we have a whole bunch of all-stars, like North Carolina all-stars, like U20s, U23s. Like we have a ton of people on that.
I'm so happy with where we are that while I want nothing more than to go to nationals and win our first game and win our second game and then go to the Final Four, if that doesn't happen, I know it won't be because we didn't do enough, or because we didn't train enough, or because we don't care enough. I know that it will just be because it's not our time and we are on track. Like, if it's not this year, it will be soon. And I totally believe that. And I'm just happy to be a part of it now, even if that means that I have to go to Final Four as a spectator. I'll do it when we're there.
These Angels on 3. 2. Don't give up. 3.
Fail. That was fail, because I didn't even have, I was just like, what do you do? Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I didn't hear. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I don't even know how the song goes. That's the only part I know.
We should get you a Broadway play,
so I can't.
All alone in the moonlight. Yeah, that is how it goes.
Final words. What's the word?
Intensity!
That's all you get.
Intensity.
Well, the word is intensity. Sometimes it's mollywop, but generally the word is intensity.